Hey everybody, and welcome to the Real Hazardous Thursday Night live feed. We're going to give everybody a few minutes to get logged in. So if you have any questions, comments, or fishing tips, feel free to log in, give us a comment, let us know.
Yeah, let's get this started. We got some reports from some shrimping, we got some reports from fishing, and we got some reports from out in the Gulf of Mexico. Thought the guy was 100 miles offshore, and we'll cover that here in just a few minutes.
So yeah, any
Right.
questions come in, and you may notice like we're dressed alike today. So you might be wondering, does that mean there's a sale going on at realhazards.com? Actually, yes, it is. Our performance fishing shirts are on sale for $36.50 plus tax. So if you want to check it out, go to realhazards.com and you can get some shirts like this made by the Real Fish Company. They're pretty sweet.
Free shipping, right?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yep, I think it's free shipping. I'll cover the shipping. Nothing's free, right?
Nothing's free. Everything comes at a cost.
There you go. All right, to get started with, we talked last week about how the water would look after the storm. Well, me and Captain Jeremy backed the boat down there Saturday, and the water was dirty in the river and it was dirty offshore. Went north of Fort George Inlet, was able to get a bunch of pogies. Most people went south, got none. We loaded the boat up with pogies, but it didn't do us a whole lot of good. Trolled all morning, didn't get anything. Dropped down on the bottom. Caught a 24-inch red out there about 14 miles out. Smallest red I've ever caught that far out.
Hey Darren, yeah. Well, he's covering how the fishing's been. But hey, thanks for tuning in. And hey Jim, nice to see you from Georgia,
Georgia. All right, there you go.
just south of Augusta. Okay.
That's where all the big deer are.
So yeah, so Darren was asking how the fishing's been. So
Yeah, so getting back to it. So we trolled, didn't get one knockdown all morning. Came back in the river, had a little spot we pulled up into, 3 casts. I had a red probably about 28 to 30 inches. Ended up releasing him right there at the boat. Not necessarily on purpose, but he was too big to keep anyhow, so it worked out good. I talked to several of the charter captains. The snapper were biting good. No kingfish, no striking fish. I think the water's just too churned up. So what we decided to do is I got a report that there was some good shrimping going on. Tuesday morning, me and my wife and Kayla, one of our other real hazardous people, went out to Green Cove Springs.
my sister, his daughter.
Exactly.
Hey Jose, nice to see you again. And hey Brian. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we went out to Green Cove Springs. Got there about 7:30. You think, Kayla, 7:45?
Mm-hmm.
By 8:30, we were done. We had 5 gallons. In fact, we were catching so many at the beginning. We probably had 3/4 of a bucket in about 20 or 30 minutes. And it took us about, another 30 minutes or so to get that last quarter.
Yeah, it's probably less than 30 minutes.
It's probably less than 30 because it was so. What happens is when that tide slacks, they seem like the shrimp go somewhere. I'm not sure, but as soon as it started moving again, man, we were getting. Sometimes we get probably 100 to the cast. I'd say a good pound or a little better on the cast, and they're getting nice size shrimp too.
So Darren says he's going to be fishing in southeast North Carolina this weekend. He's kind of expecting the same conditions. Hi, Brian. Other Brian. And yes, Jim, that's absolutely right. I think I would butcher that, so we're just going to go with Georgia. But as my dad said, fishing or shrimping's doing pretty well. Actually, one of my students, I'll give a shout out to Garrett over at Eagles View Academy. He was shrimping during the hurricane weekend as well, and he said he did really well on them. So,
Okay. Yeah. So one thing we got coming is we got another tropical system, and maybe even one behind that. But they're predicting that one to come in Saturday night and Sunday, and they're saying we could get up to 6 inches of rain, which is not good for the shrimp. It tends to wash them out. So if you're going to go shrimping, you might want to do it in the next week. Then, and if that system turns to the north, we'll probably be okay. Won't hurt us too bad.
hey, Logan. Yes, new merch will be coming. We're working on a couple different shirt designs, maybe in a new performance shirt. And I know y'all keep asking about those polos. We're working on them. So, yeah, thanks for your question.
Work faster.
Yeah, I was working on a camo performance
Yeah,
shirt.
yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at getting one of these in camouflage because hunting season's coming up.
Right. And they come with a guarantee that you'll get a deer. No. Okay, maybe not.
Somebody might guarantee it, but not me.
There you go. And what we're going to do is we're going to start putting some designs on the back of these shirts. These just have the name on them right now. Probably going to go with some lobster, wahoo,
Wahoo's kind of one of our trademark fish.
mahi, tuna. So if you guys if you have one that you like in particular, let us know so we can get that going. Um, Logan, how you doing, big guy? So I was wondering if you had an update on any new merchandise.
Yeah, we just covered that one. Sorry.
All right. Guarantee a deer or a beer on the way home. There you go, Jim. You got the right idea.
All right, we're half read anyway.
There you go. Yeah, so we did that. We did the shrimping. We did the fishing. We're going to get ready to go hunting. It's been dry, so this rain, if we don't get too much, should be good. If we get a bunch, what comes with it when it's been dry?
Well, mosquitoes will be the trick, and we've already had a hurricane come through, and mosquitoes are not as bad as they could be, or at least not up here where we hunt. Our hunting area, kind of over by the Callahan, Bryceville area. It is dry. That's nice, but usually it's a swamp. We're typically hunting in swamps, which means the mosquitoes are typically pretty bad, and they haven't been the case so far. But we are expecting a lot of rain for this weekend, which is also the opening of archery season. So
Hard to track a deer in the rain.
yes, it's very difficult to track a deer when it's raining and the blood gets wiped away, and you kind of have to let them sit a little bit in archery, a little more so than when you're rifle hunting. So that is a challenge we may have this weekend if any of you out there are planning on participating in the Northeast Florida bow season when it opens.
Yes. Keep your eye on, especially if it starts raining. You really got to watch where that deer went. And a lot of times, if you get a puddle, if you got a good shot, you'll be able to see like grease or the blood in on top of the water. And that's how we found one of your deer one year when it was raining real bad out there. I talked to a guy, Victor, and he was fishing 100 miles into the Gulf today out of Louisiana, Venice, Louisiana. And he sent me some pictures of some monster yellow fin tuna, and also some golden tilefish. I mean, some huge ones of those. And in fact, when I was talking to them, I could hear them in the background. I think they were catching bait at that time, but they were getting ready to go try for a grouper. But they already caught a bunch of yellowfin and the golden tile. I think in about 900 to 1,100 foot of water. So good job out there, Victor. Keep sending them pictures. We always like to see the big fish.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sometimes we catch them that big.
Indeed. Yeah, Jose, you make a good point. When the barometric pressure changes, the fishing does tend to get a little better. The fish bite a little more. That's something even I remember as a kid when it looked like we needed to leave because the weather was getting bad. That's usually when the fishing picked up. So, I mean, our channel is real hazardous, so there's some opportunity there. But, you know, everybody watching, make safety a priority. It doesn't necessarily have to be number one, but it should be in the top 10 at least.
Yeah, and speaking of safety as a priority, one of the things I was talking to some of my other fishing buddies, I don't know if you guys know, but a couple of weeks ago we lost a fireman and actually two firemen at sea. They never recovered them or the boat. And I think the only thing they found was some gloves or a fish bag or something on a tackle bag. But what we're going to do with our boat is we're going to put our name on all our life jackets with a magic one is waterproof Sharpies, and all our tackle boxes and everything, so that if something does happen, they'll be able to at least know where it came from. Another thing you do if you get in trouble out there, make sure you get on that radio and you put out a distress signal. Grab all your life jackets. If you got a dry bag, keep your 4 or 5 waters in there. Grab that dry bag. That dry bag will actually float you most of the time out there. And if you have to get off the boat, don't leave the boat as long as the boat's floating. Stay with it as long as you can, because that boat's easier to spot than you are out in the water. But yeah, you were saying about the fish eating. Some of our best days have been right in before a storm comes, and then after the storm's been gone for a while. We talked about this last week too. Is that water's high, and then fish don't get to feed as well. So if you can get some bait and get out there, a lot of times you'll do real well.
So JCA Vids comments PLB beacons.
Yeah, beacons. We have an EPIRB, and we do also have the flashing beacon too. Keep that EPIRB with you if you have to go over. That sends out a distress signal right there as soon as you activate it, and then keep it with you so they can get out there and find you. And especially in the wintertime, because when that water gets cold, as we all know, the survival time goes real low, even if you're floating out there. And the next investment I'm going to do is a inflatable raft, because we go like 65 miles out. That's a long ways for somebody to come get to you.
Yeah. Brian mentions mullet are starting to push out, and he was saying on Monday that he was looking from Mayport by the Jacks Pier for tarpon, jacks, and reds. Didn't see any, but they went back to the rocks and started seeing tarpon busting the bait. So.
Yeah. So what these mullet are doing is they're coming out of the river and running up down the beach. So the tarpon are sitting out at them rocks and they're blindsiding them when they come around the corner. So that's a good way to get your tarpon. In fact, I don't know if we'll get to do it this week because of the storm, but in the next couple of weeks we're going to try to set it there and get some live Real Hazardous video out there catching some tarpon maybe. Something else when you're out there waiting on the tarpon or you're fishing for them, drop you a line down there on the bottom and big reds are out there running too. And you never know what you'll get. Might get you a big flounder, could be anything out there. Mullet is pushing down your way from North Carolina. Yeah, man, I've seen them schools of mullet when they are doing the circles, and there'll be hundreds of them. And you can take your cast net cast into them. And a lot of people like smoked mullet. I'm not a big fan of it, but it don't take a couple of casts and you can get your big old net full of mullet.
But yeah, thanks for the tip, Darren. That we will keep an eye out for them as they come this way.
Yeah, and put a GPS on your arrow. There you go.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, that would better attract them deer down then. We had one. You shot one deer and it hit the bone, and the arrow didn't even go through the bone. Did it? Just kind of
just barely stuck in there. We've since upgraded our arsenal. Since then, we're running the Flying Arrow Archery Toxics on our arrow tips, so those seem to do the job a lot better. And we will put those to the test again this weekend. So looking forward to that. As long as it's not like a Category 4 or 5 hurricane, we probably be out there at least for some of the day Saturday trying to get us a deer.
There you go. Logan, can we get some Guardian of the Galaxies?
Yes, Logan. So I see the Eagles View community is tuning in tonight. Guardians of the Galaxies. That's an interesting parody video for those watching. If you haven't seen it, you can check out. We've got a couple parodies. One of Guardians of the Galaxy called Guardians of the Galaxies. Jurassic Park, so on and so forth. And yeah, Chronicles of Nimrod. Actually, before we were in Real Hazardous, we kind of experimented with videography through a little martial arts comedy series. You can dig that up. It's called the Chronicles of Nimrod, and we might bring that back one of these days.
That's still on.
You can still find it on YouTube. Logan knows this. I showed him an episode in class today. So
how many episodes?
There are 7 episodes on there.
7 episodes.
Early Real Hazardous footage.
There
So when we make it big.
How you doing? Exploding fish. Exploding fish on.
Exploding fish on. Okay, I got the name. Hey, nice to see you too.
Yeah, Jose, you were saying the weather was calm. We went out Saturday. The ocean was slick as glass. That was the one thing good about it. The water was just turned up dirty. But, I mean, just as pretty as you wanted to be. You could run as fast as you wanted to. In fact, we ran as fast as we could there a couple of times. We tried to do it just to keep in practice. Exploding fish.
Yeah, So Exploding Fish on, okay, that's the company that makes our rod holders, isn't it? The adjustable rod holders?
Yeah. And let me tell you something, guys. I was a little skeptical when we first got them. But, man, this is something you can't live without now because I can put that rod any way I want. If I'm high-speed trolling, I'll turn it out to the side, and it works real good.
Hey, Blacktip H. Nice to see you.
What's up, big guy? Now this guy, Blacktip H, you got to tune in to his videos. This guy takes you to the big fish. I mean, some whoppers. Captain Jeremy fished with him and
Dude Perfect.
Yeah, and they did real well out there. And Blacktip H has definitely got the market on that. He can take it. He goes all over. I think.
Yeah, I think he's the #1 fishing channel on YouTube right now. So really appreciate you turning in and commenting.
And not he's in the top 2. I know. Okay, we love the footage of the high-speed trolling. Hey, I'll tell you that. One thing, when Jeremy first started doing the high-speed trolling, I wasn't a big fan. But, man, we've gotten a little better at it, and it's a blast. Because when you're high-speed trolling, mostly always catch wahoo, occasional kingfish or occasional mahi, but you don't get much of the trash fish like barracudas or amberjacks, which is good.
Yeah, and getting the footage, that's a little bit of a challenge sometimes. That's usually one of the things we do in the Keys is if we want to get like lures on the high-speed troll. That's usually when I jump in the water and try and keep up with the boat to some degree or another, or at least try to get as close as I can to those baits without getting snagged myself. Had a kind of a close call this summer. So you'll see the underwater test of that coming up pretty soon.
Also, Blacktip H, Them Wahoo usually kick off right after Thanksgiving, and December seems like a real good month to go out there and do some. So let's try to set us up a trip and go out there and get some of those.
Weather gets a little unpredictable, but
It does.
the fishing is good when it is good.
You can pick your days, but also while we're out there, we'll drop down and get some of the big triggers and vermilion snapper, which makes good table fare. Not that the Wahoo aren't. Yeah, you talking about hooking that ray, 100-pound ray. I also did that in the river one time, and man, I fought that joker forever. But he wasn't 100 pounds. He's probably in the 20s. But I thought I had the monster flounder. When he finally come up, I was like, dang, it was a fun fight though.
Yes, Logan, we do care about our fan base. In fact, I will meet you at EVA tomorrow. I'll give you a high five in the morning. So thanks for tuning in. Shout out to Eagles View Academy. It is the Christian school that I teach at for my 9-to-5 job. So yeah, shout out to them. It's a nice school. If any of y'all are parents with kids looking for a private school, I recommend. I'm one of the teachers, so they get some real hazardous education in the midst of their traditional education too.
There you go. And when we're getting back to the rod holders for just a second, because they're adjustable, like you can run them out sideways, but then when you're coming back in, your old rod holders, the rods would sit out and you get some good waves and it'll beat your rod up a little bit. Now you can turn these guys in and get them out of the way. So if you get a chance, check these adjustable rod holders out. They're pretty nice.
Yeah, we have a video that's going to focus on these rod holders and how we're incorporating them. That's going to be coming out pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that.
So what's some of the other videos we got? We got trailer maintenance. We've got the one I want to do is boater etiquette, and this one goes over rules for you guys that's never on the boat. Some of the things you need to keep in mind for the captain, and like when you're going out, don't forget your wallet, is one of my buddies used to say, which means when it comes time to the gas up, because those boats, like my boat gets about 1 3/4 miles to the gallon. We go to the ledge, we burnt 120 gallons if we do high-speed trolling.
And so we look at other boater etiquette, like knowing what a no-wake zone is. They are notoriously bad at that down the Keys, like no-wake zone, and someone will be coming in about like 30 miles an hour. It's kind of crazy. So we'll probably try and do a humorous approach to illustrating that down the road. We also have some product reviews we're looking into. I got a dive mask this year for the Keys to try out, the one I usually use to film footage that holds our GoPros. It cracked, so I found one on Amazon. There were no reviews for it, so I figured we'd give it a shot. I'll have a review for that coming out soon. It's considerably less expensive than the official GoPro mask, and so we'll do a review on that and kind of determine, is it one of those things where you get what you pay for, or was it actually a good buy? So that's coming down the road too. Also going to do some reviews of some different materials, some clothing materials. We're looking at some of the 511 clothing. They just opened a 511 tactical store here in Jacksonville, and so we're going to get some of those and do reviews on them, because you know it's a pretty big name company, and we're curious how they will serve our purposes.
Yeah, that Yellowfin 36 is a nice boat, twin 557 Chevys. I bet that'll crank it on down the river there a little bit, pretty good. But let's see, what else are we going to talk about? Oh, when you're going out there fishing, you know, we try to share everything that we know, which sometimes is not much, but we know you guys know a lot too. When we all go out there, we want everybody to catch fish. You know, we're not in competition, I guess, unless we're in a tournament or something. But most of the time, we don't fish those. But let's go out there and let's help each other out. You see somebody in trouble out there in their boat, help them out. Every little thing, it can get dangerous out there in that water. Hey, Weist, is it Weist?
Wicked.
Yeah,
Wicked.
I would go with Wicked. But hey, Wicked, good to see you again. I remember you tuned in one of the last times I was doing these live feeds when we were down in the Keys, actually. I was the one with all the technical issues. Getting our Wi-Fi from our on-location spot. But yeah, good to see you again. And yeah, Darren, definitely, these guys are, yeah, no wake. Know what it means and obey it. It's
Right,
proper
especially-
etiquette.
Yeah, especially a couple of times we've been out there trying to catch bait, and they come by us, and you don't see them, and you get ready to cast that net, and there's a weight there, and next thing you know, you're in there eyeball to eyeball with a fish.
So, and y'all probably know this as well. If y'all do a lot of fishing, you've probably seen a lot of things where people either don't seem to know proper boater etiquette or just don't seem to care. And so, if you've got any interesting stories or interesting stereotypes you seem to see of people that don't really know how to boat, comment below. Maybe we can incorporate them into our video. The dive flag, not knowing what that means or the distance you're supposed to stay, is definitely one of my pet peeves. And we've got a lot of footage of people about running us over because they don't know what a red flag with the white stripe means.
We'll do that on Boaters Etiquette so these people can know what. And then when you're backing up in the ramp, we were out there this past Saturday. One guy got out, started taking his life jackets and his coolers out while he's in the ramp, not when he's off to the side, and spent about 20 minutes there. And everybody's trying to get around him. And not only did he block the ramp, but he was high enough up that it's hard for everybody else to get around him. And the ramp can launch 4 boats, and he put it down where he might could launch 1. So guys, when you're out there, what we do, we try to be, by the time we back in the water, we try to be in and out of that water within a minute, usually about 30 seconds. So we have everything on the boat before we ever even pull up and start to do our launch.
Yeah, Brian said that they're pretty bad about that. The Sisters Creek ramp.
Exactly, that's where we usually put in too. And we had the drone up this past week doing the loading and unloading, and we'll point out a couple of instances of things that people. And I don't think they really mean to. Some of these guys, I just don't think they were thinking.
Yeah,
we're
it's
trying
education.
We're trying to load the boat up, and the guy pulls in between us and in the boat trailer, and one behind us. So when you're trying to line the boat up, we couldn't do anything with it. Is Tortuga good? We've never fished a Tortuga. That's pretty south of Key West, a pretty good ways.
Yeah, but I think somebody else was commenting that the Wahoo run at Tortuga pretty much all year.
Probably so. Pretty much anywhere when you get in the Gulf Stream, you're going to catch Wahoo. You find that bait source and stuff, or anything floating, they like to be around that too. Because whatever's floating usually draws bait fish up under it, and that's why you get your mahi and your Wahoo. You can get triple tail off the floating debris also.
But we are coming to the middle of September. We'll be in October before you know it, and so we are going to kind of wind down on fishing a little bit. It won't totally go away, obviously, but we're going to definitely put some efforts into hunting season coming up. And this Saturday is the opening of bow season here in Northeast Florida, and we need some more deer meat, so that's definitely going to be one of our targeted areas for the next few weeks. That, and hopefully we get an opportunity to run out maybe Elton Bottom or 21 Fathom or something to do some diving for those huge Florida lobster.
And you don't have to measure them up here. If you see him, pretty much he's a keeper. Even the small ones here are bigger than the bigger ones down in the Keys.
The only thing you got to be careful of here versus down the Keys, up here you do need to double check that they are not egg-bearing females on the lobster. I've never actually seen an egg-bearing female down in the Keys in the
one time for me
32 years I've been down there. But up here, it's been about 50-50 with me. They do say they drop them after Labor Day, so hopefully that won't be the ratio, but we do hope to have an opportunity to go out there. Yes, the sheephead are coming in too.
Yeah. When that water starts cooling down, that's going to keep them sheephead out. And if you've got the touch, and it definitely takes the touch to get out there and get them, I feel that thing. You caught several of them, Christopher.
I caught several. We actually have a video, speaking of lobster and sheephead, from the red snapper season last year. We have a video about the red snapper season where we did a dive for red snapper, and I caught a huge lobster. We had to release it because it was egg bearing. But also on that dive, we found a couple really big sheephead that were tucked up under the wreck, and Jeremy got a huge one, and I picked up another one as well, and one of our buddies, Brad, got a huge red snapper on that.
Right.
Wicked, to your question, Wahoo, does it taste like king mackerel? It's
No,
better. Way better.
That's white meat. The Wahoo is a good firm meat. You can do it about any way. It's good grilled. And I'll tell you what we did last year. I had the smoker going, and I had a big chunk. I said, let's just throw it on there and see what happens. And man, that stuff was good. It's almost like ham, eating it off of the smoker. Really good stuff.
But yeah, we do hunt also. It's same channel. We keep it all under Real Hazardous because fishing or hunting, things are a little hazardous when we're involved. So it all fits.
He's the bow guy. He's the one that's the ace with the bow. And sometimes I can hit one with a bow, but most of the time I can't. I don't know if I get buck fever or what, but with a rifle, they're in trouble when I'm hunting. But of course, anybody can hit with a rifle, I guess.
And so for those interested in hunting here in Northeast Florida, the archery season opens up this Saturday. During this lobster season, or lobster season. During bow season, you have the opportunity to get both antlered and antlerless deer. It is one of the perks of hunting with a bow as opposed to a rifle. When during rifle season, you only get a few days where you can go shoot some does if you're primarily doing meat hunting, and after that, it is pretty much concentrated on getting that trophy. But during the bow season, you do have more opportunity to collect the meat. So if you do need meat, if you need some venison to hold you off or to build up your supply for the year, you might want to look into it. Now, it does require a special license. You have to get the archery tag to go along with your hunting license. So make sure you do have the essentials for that. Otherwise, check your regulations, whether you're in private land, public land, and what's required with that. But if you want to do it, then happy hunting, and we hope you have some success. We're hoping to have some success too.
Hi, Darren. You were asking about shooting cobia. Our boat actually has a tower on it, and when we were out last Saturday, there was a spade fish everywhere. So we thought about getting up there, but yeah, you could use a bow to shoot the cobia too, and we're going to give that a try. I got a cousin over in the Gulf side of the state, and we're going to set up and go do what we talked about shooting over there. But he'd mentioned a couple of fish. I can't remember.
Flounder. He talked about shooting flounder.
Yeah, he's talking about shooting flounder, and I don't know if you could do it here if they get that shallow enough. I guess they probably do.
And I don't know if you're talking about shooting them with a bow or shooting them with a spear gun, but we have done that too. Actually, there's a video from a while ago, and I don't think we actually got this on camera. It was one of our earliest dives that we went down with Brad and one of his buddies, Josh, and Josh had actually shot a cobia, just barely nicked it, and he pulled loose. He needed help finishing the job, and actually I was going to try and take another shot, and actually he was bottom fishing from the boat when we were diving. He actually snagged my fin, so that kind of, I had other priorities. I had to get myself off of his line, and so the cobia got away, unfortunately. I wish we would have had that on camera, but
that would have been hilarious.
Yeah, afraid not. Jim, do you know what would be the non-resident cost for lobster? We've been doing this
I'm not
so
sure.
long.
I'm not sure what the license is, Jim. I'll find out and I'll post it on our.
Just posted a link.
Okay. Yeah, Kayla's on it. She posted you a link to FWC. They have the license requirements and costs and all that kind of stuff.
Because you have to have salt water and a lobster
Yeah,
stamp.
you have to have salt water and a lobster stamp, and you can get like the 10-day or 5-day. I'm not sure how many, several different ones that you can get to do it.
But yeah, Darren, that's the same idea. We've had the cobia come right up to the boat before too, and so when we're diving, especially, like, we'll have usually the spear guns at the ready, especially if we know the cobia have been out there, and you could stick the spear gun in the water and shoot at them potentially, or we'll try and dive in after them. They're still pretty curious fish, so that might work.
You shot one a couple years back, didn't you?
Yeah, it's been a little while, but
yeah. The thing about when you shoot a cobia, make sure you shoot him in the head, because that fish will pull you all over the place. That's a strong fish if you don't get a shot on him. All the time in the Keys, you see lobster with eggs.
it hasn't been our experience, but we're usually only down there for sportsman season, and then maybe the first week or two are regular. So we haven't had a whole lot of exposure to it, and we don't really go into the Gulf. I understand the Gulf is the nesting area for the lobster. We typically fish around bridges and cuts, and so it's been weird. We know to look for it, but we just don't really ever see them. But we also stay away from the Gulf too, because we find it to be kind of hit or miss. It works for some people, but our style of approach, we just kind of prefer the bridge method.
Exactly, we do much better. Wicked, what different species of deer are you hunting for? In the southeast, we only have whitetail. Now, I have went to Texas. My brother lives over in Lubbock, and went to a place down in southwest Texas where they had axis deer, and those deer are huge there. But those are only two that I've hunted personally for. Now, when we were in Utah, did y'all see them?
Yeah, when we did an elk hunting trip just after we graduated high school, and while we were up there, me and Jeremy, we did see some mule deer, and kind of tracked them, tried to get a little bit of footage. This was in our early days, so it was rough footage. But yeah, we didn't get to actually hunt them. We didn't have a tag for it, so we could only let it go. But it was pretty cool to see them nonetheless. I would like to go mule deer hunting one day. That would be a nice challenge, and the style of their antlers, just compared to the whitetail, looks really impressive if you can get a nice sized mule deer. But right now it is only whitetail, and it's Florida, which we're not known for our whitetail deer hunting, but they can still get pretty decent. I shot one that scored about a 120 out in like northeast Florida, just about 15 minutes from Jacksonville.
Right, and nice, but nice, good horns. Tell them about that. We seen that deer twice on the camera.
We saw him in August on the game cameras, and then we never saw him again. The next time he showed up on the game camera was actually the night before I killed him, and so I actually shot him, and we collected the cameras that same evening afternoon. And so when we got home that night after we skinned the deer and everything, we ran through the camera and we saw him, and he was still about a quarter or half a mile from where I shot him. So he covered a lot of ground in, I don't know, about 12-hour period.
Yeah, and that was the weekend before the last weekend of hunt season. So we don't know where that deer was all during the season. We never seen him.
They're smart. So I had another one that got in that was in that class of antler year before last, and unfortunately, in trying to set everything up to catch it on video, the deer got alerted to some of the camera equipment, and I didn't get a shot off, and that killed me to have to let him go, and I never saw him again. So the ones worth getting are really, they're smart. They're not going to give you many opportunities, so you got to make them count.
Yeah, about those deer cams, I'm glad you brought that up. About some of these cheaper deer cams have the infrared light on them. And if you don't think that spooks a deer, you watch them at night. When they come around, they see that red light and they get to looking at that camera. So there are a couple ways to beat that. One is to put your camera up real high. When I say high, about 8 or 10 feet up in a tree at an angle point down, and then it doesn't seem to spook them. Or get you a black infrared, what they call black light infrared.
We do turkey and hog hunt. The thing about Florida, gobblers are in for most of the season that the deer are, up until the 1st of January. We are primarily looking for deer, but if a hog or a turkey comes out, the turkey, if it's a gobbler, will definitely take a shot.
Yeah,
The hog, it depends if we want to fool with cleaning it up, because those things are nasty, and we have a ton of them, and they're a little more of a nuisance, but we are working on a hog hunting video to make it kind of interesting to show the process, because there are definitely a lot of them, and it is something that needs to be managed.
There you go.
I think we are about out of time, though, so appreciate everybody commenting in, all the questions, comments. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. We're approaching that 10,000 subscribers, and every subscriber helps, so we appreciate that. Check out the new videos coming out the line pretty soon. If you have a question or comment, feel free to comment below. And yeah, check out realhazards.com for the shirts if you like shirt. And in any case, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.
Have a good night.